Hello friends and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another tutorial on ISTQB Advanced Level Test Manager Certification. We are in Chapter 2 talking about managing the product. And as a part of this, we are continuing still with 2.2, that is test estimation. And as a part of this tutorial, we'll be getting into the next subsegment of it, which is 2.2.2, factors which may influence the test effort, and would try to list down those factors which would be very crucial for a test manager to consider while doing the test estimations. When it comes to the test estimation, indeed, there are several factors to be taken into account. In fact, I should say other way around, that a test manager should not leave any factor which is not being considered while doing the test estimation. Be it about any kind of activities, be it about the test documentation, be it about the collaboration of test team with other stakeholders, or even submitting the required reports, status update, or even if you talk about the people skills, which would equally matter. And then certainly the entire project prospectives, including the software development lifecycle. So there are so many factors which a test manager should take into account, it becomes very crucial for us to actually have them listed down to understand how these factors would influence the test estimation. To understand this better, we would be taking some of the examples here, trying to understand what it actually takes to discuss them, understand them, and then take them into account while doing the estimation better. So start with, of course, the very first thing we are talking about is that test effort estimation includes or involves predicting the amount of test activities related work that will be needed to meet the test objectives for a particular project or release or even iteration. Depends on what kind of SDLC model you are following, and based on that you can say project, release, or even iteration, because in Agile we estimate for releases as well as iteration as well. Now when it comes to factors influencing the test effort, may include the following characteristics of different element. The first one is product. The product, of course, has multiple sub-elements. That is the quality of the test basis, the size of the product to be tested, the complexity of the product domain where it belongs, which includes environment, infrastructure, and history, and the requirement for testing quality characteristics, which are non-functional attributes. Of course, these product-related factors can influence the test estimation because they create a context specific for the system under test. I think we can make a very conclusive statement and understanding here that when it comes to the product is a direct influencer of the test estimation. Depending on the type of product, depending on the size of product, depending on the expectation of the quality, or even if we talk about how complicated the product is, what is the complexity involved, or what kind of domain does it belong to, we may have our estimations differently varying. Say, for example, if you're talking about an e-commerce website, then certainly only the banking related things or maybe the shopping and browsing and other features are involved. Adding a product to the cart, making sure the cart reflects it, and then shipping it to making the payment, which is through a payment gateway, and then making sure the shipment is done on time, it is received by the recipient, and then we have a wonderful feedback. And there are no other risks and other kind of complexities involved. So of course, the estimation would be X number of effort or X amount of effort to do the job in this particular application. But on the other hand, if I talk about a safety critical system or mission critical system, say for example, I'm talking about automotive, then in automotive, I have safety as a concern for the people. Now I cannot be informal in any way. I cannot talk about writing limited test cases. I cannot talk about moving out of compliances or any kind of regulatory or standards. I have to adhere to them. I have to make sure even if I don't want to do, I will have to do documentations or follow certain protocols just to make sure that I'm abiding by all the protocols of safety criticality. And that's where the effort would increase certainly by a significant amount of time on the X. And that is where the product plays a vital role in determination of what would be the effort estimation when it comes to the overall estimates of a project. The second important element which we are talking about is certainly the development process itself, which I can relate to SDLC. The stability and maturity of the organization development process. The development model includes like what kind of SDLC model you're following in use. The material factor as well, which is like availability of test automation or tools and test environment. These development process related factors can influence the test estimates because testing is directly related to development. Now, indeed, I can compare the traditional model with the agile development model. Traditionally, we do testing all of once, like once the development gets over, the testing kicks off. But of course, we have early involvements of the test engineers. But when we talk about agile, it has a different practice altogether. Testers are involved right from the day one in the life cycle. At the same time, we look forward to have maximum automation where traditional does not invite so much. At the same time, with the testing team looks forward to implement the CI/CD pipeline to make sure that the automation is also auto-triggered and we reduce a lot of our effort, but at the same time, preparing these pipelines, setting up the automation tools, scripting would all invite additional cost and effort for sure. So that is where an SDLC is not that simple or ignorable factor to be considered. And we should understand what kind of SDLC model we are following, and it can be a direct influencer to the amount of work which the testing team would do when it comes to agile development or compared to traditional models. The third element here to talk about is certainly the people, where it includes people satisfaction, that is by providing public holidays, vacation times, and other expected benefits, and the skill and experience of the people involved, especially regarding similar projects and products. Now, people are most necessary resources, thus any instability that should be taken into account should be there. Therefore, people are an important factor in the test estimation. Now, right here, we would be talking about the skill set of the people. Of course, availability of the people plays a very vital role. That is, the people or resource should be available. Then what kind of skill set are we hiring or what is required? Of course, we look forward to have a mixed skill set to handle the best team dynamics. We may have some of the freshers, we may have some of the experienced people, and at the same time, their availability is equally important. But that does not mean that till the project is ongoing, nobody would take any kind of leave. So people will have their PTOs, people will have their sick leaves, people will have their casual leaves claimed, and they would like to have a quick break for any kind of important event or activities, or maybe just for a quick event which they have personally organized. And these are all to be taken into account that my team will not work consistently throughout the next 1 year. And they would have unforeseen situations or leaves claimed during this particular timeline. So of course, the effort would vary depending on the skill and their availability, and the test manager should take that also as a factor into account. The next set of element we have is, of course, to talk about the test results. You should understand the test results also directly influences the overall effort, the number of and severity of defects found during the test execution, and the amount of rework required. Historical statistics support test estimation, thus knowing these factors will support an estimation with more accuracy or more accurate values. So I think I just want to make it simple, this particular factor, that when it comes to test result, let's say if you have written a test which passes, is there anything else we have to do other than writing the result? Answer is no. But if a test fails, we have our effort multiplied by 4 times. We have to report a defect, we have to track the defect, we have to do the retesting on resolution, and then we have to do regression testing to confirm any side effects. Now, if you notice this a little bit more deeper, remember, just try to understand how many defects are you predicting in this project. And then on that ground, you can multiply the effort by 4 times. So it's not necessary if all your test cases will pass. Of course, our core intention is to expect that my test cases would fail. But every single failure results into my effort to be multiplied by 4 times. So that is where the test results have to be taken into account, again, importantly, to do the proper and accurate estimations. The third element here to talk about is test context. Of course, testing is context dependent. We know from one of our fundamental principles. So here we say the distribution of testing across several subsidiaries, the composition and the location of the teams, and complexity of the project, and the type of work, which is like virtual or on-site. Now, context-related factors are the ones that affect the entire test estimation. In fact, context is more of like the subject matter or the domain under which the product belongs. And depending on the context, there might be different set of event, different types of activity, different techniques, and various methods which are specifically applicable to such product. For example, ISO 26262 is pretty much applied in automotive industry. You may have A or B type of testing, you may have back-to-back testing to solve specification problem. And there might be various other security needs to be conducted other than the conventional systems. So that is where we understand if a product is context specific, and due to the context of the product, you may have several other considerations to be taken into account. So estimation done by a test manager is just not limited to what we do as generic activities. We might be required to consider specialized activities which are particularly applicable to your industry, your project, or your testing task. And with that, we understand what are those important factors to be taken into account. And along with that, there are several multiple minor factors which do influence the overall estimation. With that, I think we have got the understanding of what it takes to do a proper and accurate estimation. So that's all from this particular tutorial team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to address your queries and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video team and happy learning.